Hey golfers, in this next video I'm going to be talking about pressure shift downswing. This is a huge part of the golf swing. If you can get this right, a lot of great things will happen in your downswing and overall golf swing and make better contact with the golf ball. So this is the video you want to watch. Keep watching. Hi, it's Troy from Hitting It Solid here. Thanks for watching. So let's talk about this pressure shift downswing and why it plays such a key role in the golf swing. Now, I prefer to use the phrase pressure shift instead of weight shift because for me it's really about putting pressure into those ankles, your right and left ankles, as we move through the transition through into the downswing. This is a really key part of the golf swing. So with the really good players, whether it be top amateurs or professionals, when they're shifting pressure in their backswing, they generally get somewhere up to around 80%. So they might get to somewhere about 80% at this point here, pressure into that inside of that rear foot. Now, when it comes to the downswing, they will end up switching that around. They actually shift pressure to the left instep, your lead foot. They'll end up at about 80-20, the exact reverse in the downswing. Now, it's really important to understand with this pressure shift, it's actually happening before they finish their backswing. And I'll show you what I mean. As I go to the top, this is typically what most pros will do as they make their backswing. As they're getting closer and closer to the top, before they actually get there, they've actually already switched around. They're already shifting pressure back to that lead foot, and it gives them a little bit of a head start and it makes it easier for them to transition in the downswing and get into that really good impact position. So it's really important to understand it's not just a case of finishing the backswing, they have got all their weight here, then all of a sudden they move. They're already shifting that pressure downswing prior to finishing the backswing. Okay, really important to understand that. And another really key part of this pressure shift is that the arms and the upper body for that matter need to remain really passive in the downswing. So if we go to the top here, it's really important these arms are just hanging there. They're not really doing a whole lot. They don't sort of do anything drastic in that downswing. Because we're moving that pressure, it's really important they remain passive and your legs really dig in and push into the ground and apply that pressure as you come through and make that downswing. So the pressure shift will go from about that 80-20 on the back to about 80-20 on the front, and that's how it works in the golf swing. Now, another key part of this shifting pressure is ensuring you don't sway. Now, one of the faults I see most often with amateur golfers is they sway too far on the backswing. On the downswing, they'll sway like this and the hips will get in an awkward position like this. In a really awkward position, and they'll push out like that. That's not what we're talking about with shifting pressure. We're talking about shifting pressure like this and getting into this position here, not this position here. Okay, really important to understand that distinction there. We don't want any sort of swaying. We want to be rotating as we're putting pressure into that lead side and getting into that great position there. Now, with a driver, probably won't be quite as much pressure that gets shifted because you're hitting slightly on a level ball that's teed up, and you'll be slightly hitting on the up. The pressure won't quite be as much, but definitely with irons, you want that 80-20 to get that forward shaft lean and get into that really good impact position that you're after. So in just a moment I'm going to show you two really great drills you can practice at home to make this pressure shift downswing that much easier for you. See you soon. Okay, before we get into these two great drills, just wanted to add a couple of extra points. Where most golfers go wrong, most sort of mid to high handicappers go wrong, they might have an incorrect pressure shift at setup. In other words, you might be favouring too much of the lead side or the rear side, either way. Usually quite often it's the front side. If you can maintain sort of a 50-50, it will make it much easier to turn and get that pressure shift in the downswing. And the other big problem is doing a reverse pivot in the backswing. And that'll look something like this, where the upper body tilts back towards the target. And usually what happens then is when you go to the downswing, the weight will hang back on this side and you won't get that pressure shift downswing correct. You won't get at least that 80% on that lead side. And again, tying in with that, particularly with the irons, I see this nearly every weekend. Most golfers, they'll turn, have that 80% on their back, and they'll just leave it there and they'll hang back like that. And this is in an effort, particularly with the irons, to scoop or lift the golf ball into the air, which is not what irons are designed to do. You can get away with this to a point with your driver because you're hitting off a tee, but with your irons, I want you to be hitting more down and a flatter angle of attack. And you cannot do that if you leave all your pressure shift on your right and hang back like this. You just cannot do it. It's just about impossible to get forward shaft lean into that great impact position. Okay, really important. So make sure you watch the next bit. Let's go through these drills. Alright, here's 2 simple drills so you can get great pressure shift in the downswing, start playing some great golf. So you can practice these at home. You can actually do these hitting short shots at the driving range, even leading up to full shots. But I recommend you trying this at home first, just to get the feel of it, and this will really help out your ball striking. So we can get rid of the ball just there for now. What I want you to do is we're going to set up. Now, the first thing we're going to do in this drill is we're going to lift our lead heel. So for me, a right-hander, it's going to come up like this as we make our backswing. We're going to lift it off the ground, and then we're going to plant it as we make our downswing and swing through. And this will give you a great feeling for how this pressure shift is working in the downswing. So let's do another one. Lift the heel up, plant it, and swing through. Again, this is great for really getting a great feel of this pressure shift. Now the second drill, very similar. It's called a step through drill. Set up to your normal stance. And what I want you to do, as we make our takeaway through to our back spring, move your lead leg right beside your right, like this. And then we're going to take a step and swing through. Really important you get that right heel off the ground and you get that pressure into that lead side. This is a great drill. I've been using this one for years. This gives you probably better than any other drill, a great feel for how the pressure shift works in the downswing and the backswing for that matter. So let's do one more. There you go, 2 fantastic drills to really build this into your golf game. Make sure you watch the next video that's coming up on your screen, because it's going to tie in with this pressure shift and help you make an even better downswing. Do you want to know how to make an even better downswing? Click and watch the video on your screen now. It's going to go into a bit more detail about how to move the trail shoulder and get it externally rotating to make an even better downswing. Do you want to know how to play even better golf? Consider subscribing to the channel, and remember, if you have any questions or comments, please let me know. I will get back to you. Thanks for watching. See you next time.